Poetic Cinema Storytime, Gangster Blues. Hello, my friends. My name is Vernon Snell. Welcome to Poetic Cinema Storytime. I'm glad you're here. You know, our lives move so fast these days. Everybody's scrolling. Everybody's chasing something. Everybody's looking for the next distraction. So for the next few minutes, I'd like to ask you to slow down, take a breath, and let me tell you a story. Not because it's perfect, not because it's extraordinary, but because it's honest. This story is called Gangster Blues. Navigating the aftermath of a global pandemic intensified struggles that had followed me since I was young. By then, my children were old enough to see the decline in both their parents' health. The pressure kept building. Lockdowns, isolation, and the weight of a lifetime all seemed to arrive at once. Looking back, struggle had always been the one thing I truly understood. I grew up poor. I spent years feeling misunderstood even by people closest to me. I built businesses. I took risks. I survived worlds most people never knew existed. But survival has a strange price. Sometimes the stronger people think you are, the less they notice you're carrying the whole world on your back. COVID didn't just close businesses. It exposed every crack that had been hidden for years. Businesses I'd poured my life into began collapsing. Relationships changed. Dreams I'd spent decades building disappeared almost overnight. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, I realized something. You can lose almost everything and still wake up trying to protect everyone else. I spent my life making sure my children never experienced the streets that raised me. They grew up in comfort. They never saw the nights I drove through fear. They never saw the police, the hustling, the pressure.
The drinks before bed just to quiet a mind that refused to stop racing.
That's the strange thing about fathers. Sometimes the greatest gift they give their children is making sure they'll never understand what was sacrificed for them. At 54 years old, I found myself looking at a life I had spent decades building. And for the first time, I didn't know who I was without the struggle. That's when I started writing, not because I wanted sympathy, because I wanted honesty. Because pain that isn't spoken eventually becomes silence. And silence has buried too many good people already. You know, people hear the title Gangster Blues and they expect a crime story. But that's never what it was. To me, it's a story about carrying weight, about trying to become the father I never had, about building something for other people, while forgetting to build a place where my own heart could rest. That's why I write. Not to glorify the streets, not to glorify pain, but because every neighborhood has people whose stories disappear when nobody listens. The story you heard tonight comes from one of my Poetic Cinema books called The Therapist's Couch. It's a collection of testimonies about survival, memory, and the emotional worlds people carry inside them. Every time we meet, I'll tell you another story. It might come from this book, it might come from another one, it might come from my life, or it might come from someone I met many years ago. You never know. That's what makes storytelling beautiful. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. I'm Vernon Snell. This is Poetic Cinema Storytime. And until next time, take care of yourself, because there's always another story waiting to be told.